I apologize, finish up, what do you want to say?
No.
I brought it up, yeah. Yeah, he does see such things are hard out. But still. He does the same thing with, I told you, with the, with Moses in the wilderness. He wants to talk about why the light of the law has gone out. So he says, oh, you know why Moses put a veil over his face these are like scarlet stories. Why did Moses put a veil over his face? But he knows his audience isn't reading the book, or he couldn't say those things. Why did Moses put a veil over his face so that the Hebrews wouldn't know that he was that there was no light and that the light of the law had gone out? And but that's not what the story says. Not that I believe either one, but the story is what it is. The story is that he put a veil over his head because he was so irradiated, he didn't want the people to be burned up by coming into his presence, because he'd just been in an attentive meeting with God. All right, let me just finish up here quickly. Let's get this Hagar story, because it parallels the other story. I shouldn't get into modern theology, I apologize. Because it is controversial, and we'll get into a controversy, but you guys can work on it yourself and see what you think. Drive away the slave girl. She's not to share the inheritance with my son. So again, Sarah's not portrayed very well, but for a different reason. It's because she doesn't want the two playing together or sharing the inheritance. But God said, oh, it's okay, Abraham, do what Sarah asks you. And so this is a much more wordy presentation of the other story. Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of the slave girl's son. He's going to be a big nation too. But Abraham's kinder in this story. Rising the next morning, Abraham took some bread and some water, and giving them to Hagar, he put the child on his shoulder and sent her on her shoulder and sent her away. And she wandered off to the wilderness. And now, what do you have for 15? Beersheba or Lahai? Yeah, now it's Beersheba. And there was no water or anything. Now, the Muslims say, oh, Abraham and Ishmael founded the shrine in Mecca where there's a well. I'm sure they think that it relates to these stories here, but these stories are quite specific. This is not 1,000 miles further south than Mecca. This is Beersheba, and which is in the northern Negev, south of Hebron. And so she started to weep. The child was crying, and everybody was crying. And God heard the child crying, and an angel came to him. Do not be afraid. It's a very tender story. Then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw the well, and she filled up the skin. And God was with the boy, and he grew up in the wilderness, and he became a great bowman, and he made his home in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him a wife from the land of Egypt, where she had originally come. So he married an Egyptian. He becomes the father of the Midianites, who are where Moses later stays. Now, one last point about this here. In the other story, here he's in the wilderness, he's a wild bowman. In the other story, he's against all men, or all men are against him, remember? So, anyway, two parallel stories. And now, Abraham and Abimelech at Beersheba. We've already had Abraham and Abimelech in a situation over Abraham saying his wife is his sister, like Pharaoh earlier. And now this has to do with naming Beersheba. I'll just say quickly, line 33, we'll take a break. Line 33, we're at the tamarisk of Beersheba. And there, Abraham invoked the name of Yahweh again. So it's another shrine story here about the naming of Beersheba, because we've just had Beersheba in the Ishmael story. So we have two places here, Beersheba and Lahai. Let's keep an eye on them in the Isaac story. Okay, let's have a break. See you guys in like 10 minutes. I'm out. Sorry if I seem a little bit...